Good morning. It is Wednesday. Today, I'd like to talk to you about making no assumptions. There's no one here this morning yet because I decided to come on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, not every single day. So, once again, I'm at the beach, which I really love the beach. I come to the beach so I can meditate and write. And then I can see my clients or go to my home office and do some work and see people online because that's the path I'm taking is to do all my work online. And today it is, let me see who this is, if anybody came. Hey, Kimberly, please don't mind my glasses. So today is, I'm going to talk about making no assumptions. First of all, there's a really good book that I found out about years ago called The Four Agreements. You probably all know about it. But in that book, the third agreement is make no assumptions because we make assumptions all the time. People make assumptions because they're afraid to ask. That's why they make assumptions. So my question to you is, have you ever made an assumption? And why do you make an assumption? Because here's what happens. Instead of us asking the person what's happening, just for example, you have a relationship and you feel insecure about something because your guy or your girl was not around or you couldn't contact them or something happened. No big deal, but they just weren't around, weren't available. And the first thought you begin to think is a negative one. The first thought you begin to think was a negative one, maybe about being unfaithful, maybe about doing something that you guys discussed and they did it anyway. I don't know what it could be. But instead of you just talking about it to get everything clear, you go inside your head and you start making things up. What I have found with my clients and just with people in the world, I need my glasses again, we make things up. We make up stories. And the problem is we could make up a good story or a bad story, but usually people decide to make up a negative story. And they make assumptions. They answer all these questions in their head about the person that might be right there in their face. Instead of asking the person and discussing it, they would much rather make assumptions, create stories, make things up in their heads, and then cause conflict in the relationship for no reason. And then when it finally comes out, like, what are you upset about? What just happened? Why are you angry with me? Or why are you being different? And you finally say what you think or what was going on in your head. 9 times out of 10, the person says, no, that's not what I thought. That's not what I said. That's not what I was doing. So it's you making things up in your head because you were afraid to ask. Now, why were you afraid to ask? If you don't know, I'll tell you. The reason why people are afraid to ask their partners or their friends, whomever, what the problem is or what they think. If I'm thinking this about you or something that you did, or I think you mean something in a certain way, what the best thing for me to do is come to you and say, Kimberly, we were talking yesterday and you said this. Did you mean blah, blah, blah? Because that's what I thought you meant. And then Kimberly, you'll say, oh, no. What I meant was blah, blah, blah. And then we're both clear. I'm clear, and then you're clear about how I thought, and then you say, oh, next time just ask me, something like that. That's what happens usually. I mean, what can happen when you do get the courage to ask and not make assumptions. People make assumptions because they're afraid. And when you're afraid, that wreaks so much havoc in your life. Because fear is something else that we create. It's just something that we think of in our head. We make it up. Our ego does that. So if you make no assumptions, those problems will subside because it really wasn't a problem. You just made it up. Decide today that when you are making something up or having stories in your head, that if you're going to create a story in your head, you have a choice to create a positive story or a negative story. Create a positive story. That story will take you throughout the day, and your day will be positive, and so will be your relationship. And if it's not, then you got other decisions to make. But don't make assumptions. So the 4 agreements, the first agreement is, if you don't know this, be impeccable with your word. Say nothing negative about yourself or anyone else because words are like magic. They make things happen. The second one is take nothing personally because it's not about you. It's always about the other person, how a person behaves, how they interact with you or the world. That's not about you, it's about them. And we're also egocentric. We always think it's about us, but that's our fear too. It's not about us, it's about them. They have their own journey, they have their own experiences, and they've lived their life the way they've lived it thus far, and they're still living their life on their path, on their journey, having their own experiences, as are you. So take nothing personally because it's not about you. And the third one is make no assumptions. And people make assumptions because they're afraid to ask. You need courage to ask. When you have courage, we get courage. Like I said before, there are four things we need for self-love: trust, faith, courage, and honesty. And when we're afraid to ask our partners or anybody what we're thinking, or what we a question, or tell people what we need or how we feel, that means we don't love ourselves. And it takes those four components to lead you to on the labyrinth of self-love, because finding self-love is like a labyrinth. Like walking a labyrinth, you know what a labyrinth is. It's not a maze. So when you get to the center of that labyrinth, after you've walked and cultivated your faith, your trust, your courage, and your honesty, then you sit in the middle of that labyrinth in self-love and self-acceptance. When you accept yourself, that means you love yourself. When you love yourself and accept yourself, you don't need to make assumptions. You have the courage to ask, hey, did you mean this when you said that to me yesterday? Because that's the way I took it. And then if you're defensive, that's on you. You work on that. We have to work on our things all the time. I only talk about what I know about, what I've had experienced in my life and what I'm learning today. You know, personal development, self-improvement is always the best things for us. And we don't want to make assumptions. If I were you, I would get the $12.95 book called The Four Agreements by Don Luis Ruiz, a former surgeon, now a Toltec. So I would get the book. And if you ever want to get any books about love, get Sex, Love, and Food, The Intricacies of What's Delicious. That's a good book too, that's a novel. But get that book and it'll help you not to make assumptions. So right now I have, Talita, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey you guys. So just make no assumptions, remember that. And just before I go, I'm going to put a post up here. I'm going to start a women's group sometime this month. And I want to have 10 women in the group. No more than 10 women in the group. 5 or 6 is good, but no more than 10 women in the group. And in that, it's going to be a 6-week group, 40 minutes to an hour, once a week. And we'll talk about all kinds of things. You'll learn how to grow, how to be yourself, personal development, how to use your voice, how to use your words, how to communicate better in a relationship, all kind of things. And in that group, but there's a fee to the group. And if you're interested in that, just message me and say, yes, I want to do the group with you, because I'm going to start it. And then when I do that group, I won't be on live all the time, because I'll take this to the group. So I'm happy you guys are here. Thank you so much for coming. I love when you come. I just come on here randomly. And I always do my live before I do my meditation and my writing. Somebody else just came on? Let me see. Oh, yeah. Michelle? Someone. Okay, yeah. So somebody else just came on. And also, you guys can, live, the good thing about doing this live is that you can always watch it again because it plays again, so it doesn't go away, which is cool. So I'll reiterate for Michelle, who just came on, what I was talking about is making no assumptions. People make assumptions because they're afraid to ask. And what you need to not be afraid to ask is self-love or self-acceptance. Once you accept yourself and love yourself, that means you don't mind how someone reacts to your questions or to what you think. If you say, when yesterday talking, I thought you meant this, did you? They say yes or no. That's all you can get, is yes or no. If they meant it and it wasn't nice, then you have a decision to make. If they didn't mean that and you just thought that, then you have to figure out why you're thinking on the negative. It's a beautiful thing that we always can grow and learn on this planet with each other, for each other, but with each other, by asking and being courageous in a simple way. Just people are afraid to do small little things. So there's 4 components you need to walk the labyrinth to self-love. That's faith, trust, courage, and honesty. We need faith, and we need trust, and we need courage. And then we need to be honest with ourselves about ourselves. What makes us afraid? Are we afraid? What's going on with us? And once we do that, we kind of start to get that stuff settled out. And Michelle, I've told everybody else that I'm starting a women's group in the month of August. maybe in the middle of the month. I'm not really sure, but no more than 10 women. There's going to be a fee to the to this group. It's going to be on a Zoom call once a week for 6 weeks. It's going to be a group that's going to improve you as a human being, improve your soul, improve your spirit, uplift you, make you happy, make you understand how to be happy, how to love yourself first. Okay, you guys, so if you're interested in that, I hope you are, just let me know and I'll start this. I'll send you, if you are, message me because I've got to email you the link when I do. It's a Zoom, it'll be on Zoom. So I have to email you the link to open up to be on Zoom. So think about it, interesting, happy. For 6 weeks, it's just 150. That's all it is. So, right? Isn't that good? So, call me. Let me know, and I'll see you guys on Friday with 5 on Fridays. Have a great Wednesday and have a wonderful Thursday. I love you guys. You know that. Bye bye. Now it's time for me to meditate and do my thing. Bye.